If you create a garden, you are responsible for it. There's this Latin phrase, it's called in medio veritas, which means in the middle there is truth. And so what we need to do is we need to work through consensus. We need to find the broad middle where we can all talk and where we can put plants in our gardens that work well together, work well for nature, and work well for us.
My method is always to tell a story, to just spread the idea of and the necessity of using native plants in the landscape, not just for their beauty like we usually think of the landscape's purpose, but also for their ecological role for the many native species of animals, insects, birds, mammals that depend on native species. So usually when I'm presenting a native plant in opposition to a commonly used but non-native plant, the story is, if you plant this, then you will see this particular butterfly which you've not seen before. Or then in winter, cedar waxwings will come and eat the berries which you wouldn't normally see. Things like that.
I'd had a very manicured yard for many years, and I realized the drawbacks of that. All the chemicals used, all the water used, all the petroleum used to maintain turf grass. So I decided that I wanted to get away from all that and really go to native plants. And I went to some classes at the Nature Center and learned about the benefits of the native plants and how much more they could add ecologically.
I know, like 20 years ago with my family, we would drive down the highways and the front of the windshield and the bumpers would be just plastered with bug guts. And now there's almost nothing. And so there's this whole deterioration of all of our insect population. And so for me, I wanted to then add in the plants that would support these pollinators that are having issues because they no longer have that habitat. It's been really fun just letting people know what I'm doing here because it's not the typical yard when you look down the street.
So there's sort of a feedback loop between the landscape industry, the nursery industry, and then homeowners. So landscapers often will plant what the nurseries grow, especially what they grow cheaply. Homeowners will usually plant what the landscapers tell them to plant or what they see on TV and home garden, HGTV sort of things. And then the nursery grows what the landscapers or the homeowners ask for. So if the homeowners are seeing on TV old, traditional, non-native or invasive things, burning bush, things like that, then the landscapers will try to plant that for them, and then the nurseries will try to grow that for the landscapers, and then you won't break that cycle.
That should be a mantra. Do not plant invasive plants. Now, we can't always be sure that a plant won't click into rampant growing, but there are enough plants out there for us that we do understand, that we know which ones to stay away from. A couple that I wish we would not plant are burning bush and winter creeper euonymus, and of course the Japanese barberry. Those three are wreaking havoc in our natural areas. There has been a shift. I think what took was awareness and was seeing what invasive plants can do to a forest or a wetland or a prairie.
It excited me to be doing this, and so I just mistakenly assumed everybody would be excited and want to do this too. But if if you're not aware of these things and you're used to having ornamental flowers and these neat garden beds and everything mulched with colored, dyed mulches, I do a little more business-like in the front. It's just to help people with the transition because they're not maybe used to my more natural ways here. And one of the ways I do that is to create sort of cues of care. And so this edge of the wood through here, it looks like it's intentional, like it has an edge, but it also supports a lot of the wildlife and the pollinators that we're looking to support.
It's good to educate people, to be sure you let your neighbors know kind of what you're doing and try to inform them of why you think this is a better approach, and also put up signage is a good idea. People can learn and maybe they'll decide that, hey, they would like to start to go that direction as well.
I really like what Doug Tallamy says. 60% native in your yard. And since I'm an herb gardener and a food gardener, I think that's a fantastic compromise. And I like the idea of compromise.
You don't have to have all natives like I do here, or I left some plants here that were growing before I came. They're not native to here, but I like the flowers.
It's not about all of a sudden doing everything at once. This took 38 years to do. It's doing the small steps, bringing in 3 to 5 plants every year, maybe more. It just depends on how much space you have, how much energy you have, and think about the maintenance.
Don't be shy about it. Don't think you have to know anything. I didn't know a thing about any kind of gardening 7 years ago. And so you'll see it's been a learning process. I think it's just a lot of fun. So I'm hoping people will try it and get a chance to enjoy it too.